Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News. Fans, Mel Owens was the man everyone thought had it all. At 62, his silver hair perfectly combed, his blue eyes still twinkling with youthful charm, and a charisma that drew people in within seconds. As the star of The Golden Bachelor, he seemed to live a life that many dreamed of: adventure, romance, and adoration. Yet behind that golden smile was a story very few knew, a story of heartbreak, loss, and a love that slipped through his fingers. "I never thought I'd find myself here, talking about this," Mel confessed in a rare, intimate interview. "Everyone sees the laughter, the adventures, the roses, but nobody sees the nights I lay awake, wondering where it all went wrong." The truth was, Mel Owens had once been happily married. Not just married, but deeply in love. His ex-wife, Linda, had been the center of his universe. They met in their late 20s at a gala in New York City. Mel, then a rising entrepreneur, had been instantly captivated by her radiant energy and sharp wit. Linda, in turn, saw something in Mel that she could never put into words, a combination of gentleness, humor, and unwavering loyalty. They married 2 years later. The first decade was blissful, filled with travel, shared dreams, and family milestones. Friends envied their bond, often calling them the perfect couple. But life, as it tends to do, had other plans. No one sees the slow unraveling. The tiny, almost imperceptible cracks that start in a marriage often begin with small misunderstandings, then grow into unbridgeable gaps. For Mel and Linda, it started with priorities. Mel had always been ambitious, dedicating long hours to his career. Linda, passionate about her own career in interior design, found herself craving emotional connection over material comfort. Sometimes I'd come home, exhausted, expecting to share a moment, and she'd be there, waiting, but not really there. The spark wasn't gone, it had just faded somewhere along the way. There were arguments. Of course, heated ones that ended in silence. Phone calls left unanswered, promises whispered in fleeting moments of intimacy became empty gestures. They both tried therapy, couples counseling, even short getaways meant to rekindle the flame, but something deeper had shifted. Linda began to feel invisible in the relationship, a shadow of the woman she had once been. Meanwhile, Mel felt blindsided, believing their love was unbreakable. Mel's voice trembled as he recounted the day Linda told him she was leaving. It wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no betrayal, no infidelity, just honesty. She looked at me and with a trembling voice said, "I love you, but I'm not happy. I need to find myself without the shadow of our relationship." Those words were like a punch to the gut. Mel tried to reason, begged her to reconsider, but Linda had made her mind. She wasn't leaving because she didn't love him. She was leaving because she needed to rediscover who she was, without the shadow of their relationship. The house that had once been filled with laughter suddenly felt hollow. Mel would walk into rooms expecting her smile, her warmth, only to be met with emptiness. Friends and family rallied around him, but the pain was a quiet, gnawing ache that no words could fix. "It felt like someone had torn the heart out of my chest and left me to carry it alone," Mel admitted. "I had loved her with everything I had, and it wasn't enough to keep her." In the months following the separation, Mel faced the most difficult challenge of his life: learning to live alone, not as a bachelor, but as a man who had lost his life partner. He traveled. He tried hobbies he had ignored for years. He leaned on friends, family, and even strangers he met along the way. Slowly, he began to rediscover himself, the man he had been before marriage, but wiser, tempered by pain, and more compassionate than ever. It was during this period of self-reflection that the opportunity of the Golden Bachelor came along. At first, Mel was hesitant. How could he open his heart again after such a devastating loss? But something inside told him that love, even after heartbreak, was worth pursuing. This show wasn't just about finding someone new. It was about proving to myself that love doesn't have an expiration date. That heartbreak, while it changes you, doesn't have to define you forever.
Walking onto the Golden Bachelor stage, Mel felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. The cameras captured his every move, but it wasn't fame he was seeking. It was connection. The first woman he met had an energy that immediately reminded him of Linda, not in looks, but in the spark of life she carried. Mel hesitated at first, the ghosts of his past love lingering in his mind, but when she laughed at a small joke he made, he realized something. He could still feel joy. He could still let someone in. As he handed her the first rose, there was a symbolic weight behind the gesture. Not just a rose for a new love, but a declaration to himself, I am ready to love again. Mel's journey isn't just about heartbreak, it's about courage. Losing Linda was devastating, but it didn't close the door on love. Instead, it opened the door to self-discovery, resilience, and the possibility of finding happiness in unexpected places. I won't lie, Mel said softly. Sometimes I still think about her, wonder what could have been. But I've learned that love isn't always about holding on. It's about letting go, appreciating what you had, and making room for what's next. The cameras may capture roses and dates, laughs and flirtations, but Mel Owens' story reminds us that behind every smile, every golden facade, there is a human heart, sometimes broken, sometimes healing, always searching for
Even as Mel
connection.
walked into the world of dating again, Linda's presence lingered like a shadow. It wasn't bitterness he felt. It was memory, longing, and sometimes regret. He would catch himself thinking of her smile in unexpected moments, when the sun hit the living room just right, or when a song from their wedding played on the radio. One evening, after a particularly emotional group date, Mel sat alone on the balcony of the mansion, staring at the city lights. I wonder if she's happy, he whispered to himself. I hope she is, because I always wanted her to be. He realized then that moving on didn't mean erasing the past. It meant carrying the lessons, the love, and even the pain forward. Every heartbreak had shaped him. Every tear had carved out the man who could now love again, mindful, patient, and truly present. The women on The Golden Bachelor were unlike anyone Mel had ever met. Each carried a story, a passion, and a spark that intrigued him. There was Carol, a retired teacher with an infectious laugh that reminded him of simpler days. There was Diane, an artist whose quiet confidence drew him in unexpectedly. And then there was Veronica, bold, witty, and unafraid to challenge him. At first, Mel felt overwhelmed. His heart had been broken, and he wasn't sure if he could fully open it again. But as each rose ceremony passed, he began to notice the little things. The way Carol's eyes crinkled when she smiled, the way Diane's hand brushed his during a walk in the garden, the way Veronica dared him to laugh when he wanted to hide. It wasn't just about finding a new love. It was about rediscovering the joy of human connection, of intimacy, of vulnerability. As Mel connected with the women, memories of Linda would sneak into his thoughts. He remembered their first dance at the wedding, the way she rested her head on his shoulder, trusting him completely. He remembered their first argument, the moment he realized love wasn't just about passion, it was about patience, compromise, and understanding. These flashbacks were bittersweet. They reminded him of what had been lost, but also showed him what love could look like when nurtured properly. If I'm going to open my heart again, I need to bring the best of myself, not the fears of my past. The turning point came during a group date at a vineyard. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, and Mel found himself deep in conversation with Carol. They laughed, shared stories, and for the first time in years, Mel felt that familiar warmth, the kind that makes your chest feel full, not heavy. He realized that love didn't have to be the same as it was with Linda. It could be new, exciting, and completely different,
but just as meaningful. Later that evening, Carol surprised him with a quiet dance under the stars. No cameras, no audience, just two people connecting. Mel felt his heart stir, a reminder that even after heartbreak, love could bloom again. One night, Mel decided to open up. He gathered the remaining contestants and shared the story of his marriage and the heartbreak that followed. His voice was steady, but his eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I lost someone I loved deeply. It broke me in ways I never thought possible. But it also taught me the power of vulnerability. It taught me that even when we're hurt, we can heal. And sometimes love finds us again when we least expect it." The women were silent, moved by his honesty. It was a moment that changed the energy of the show. No longer was it just about roses or competition. It was about real connection, trust, and emotional courage. As the finale approached, Mel had grown immensely. The heartbreak of the past no longer defined him. It had shaped him, yes, but it had also prepared him for something greater, a love that could honor his past while embracing the future. When the final rose ceremony came, Mel's choice wasn't about replacing Linda. It was about choosing someone who complemented him, who brought out his best, who could walk beside him in this new chapter of life. As he handed the rose to Carol, the cameras captured the emotion. A man who had suffered deeply, learned from the pain, and emerged ready to love
Behind
again.
every smile on The Golden Bachelor was a story. Mel, in his late-night reflections, often thought about each woman and the courage it took for them to step into this spotlight at their age. Carol had been widowed for nearly a decade. She had loved fiercely, lost painfully, and now, with hesitant hope, she allowed herself to dream again. Diane had spent her life caring for others, raising grandchildren, and sacrificing her own needs. Veronica, bold and witty, had faced heartbreak of her own, but instead of letting it embitter her, she embraced life with fearless energy. Mel saw fragments of Linda in each of them, not the person, but the qualities he had once cherished: warmth, humor, curiosity, and strength. The awareness made him reflective. Could he truly let go of the past, or would it hold him back from love again? As weeks passed, the show's drama intensified. Misunderstandings arose, jealousy flared, and emotions ran high. Mel found himself navigating not just the romantic aspects, but also the delicate art of balancing honesty and empathy. One evening, Diane, feeling overlooked, confronted Mel during a group date. "I feel like you're not seeing me," she said quietly, but firmly. "I know I'm not the loudest in the room, but I deserve to be noticed for who I am." Mel took a deep breath. He felt the weight of her words. "Diane, you are remarkable," he said sincerely. "I've been reflecting a lot about my past, and sometimes I get caught in my own thoughts, but that doesn't mean I don't see your light. I promise I'm here, fully." Moments like these reminded Mel of Linda, not the pain, but the lessons he learned: communication, empathy, and the importance of truly listening to a partner's heart. Some nights, after the cameras stopped rolling, Mel would wander the mansion's empty halls. The echoes of laughter and soft music often brought memories of Linda rushing back, sometimes unexpectedly. He would sit by the fireplace, stare at a photo of him and Linda from years ago, and whisper, "I hope you're happy. I hope I can find that kind of love again." He realized that heartbreak didn't vanish overnight. It lingered, shaping how he approached new relationships. But he also knew that vulnerability was not a weakness. It was the path to something real. "It's terrifying to love again," he admitted, "because to truly open your heart, you risk the pain returning. But without that risk, there's no reward."
One evening, everything changed. Carol, tired of waiting, made the first move. She approached Mel during a private sunset walk in the vineyard. "I can't keep pretending," she said softly. "I like you, more than I expected, and I think you feel the same." Mel's heart raced. The walls he had built to protect himself wavered. He remembered Linda, he remembered the heartbreak, but he also remembered the joy, the laughter, and the spark that made love worth it. Without hesitation, he leaned in, and their first kiss sealed a moment of genuine connection. Cameras captured it, but it was more than a show moment. It was a real emotional breakthrough. After that pivotal moment, Mel called all the remaining contestants together. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "I've been through heartbreak. I lost someone I loved with all my heart. And while I'll always carry that love, I also know that life gives us second chances. Carol, you've shown me that it's okay to open my heart again, to love without fear." There were tears, laughter, and an overwhelming sense of honesty. The women realized that Mel's journey was not just about romance, it was about courage, resilience, and embracing vulnerability. As the final rose ceremony approached, Mel felt a mixture of excitement and serenity. Choosing a new partner wasn't about replacing Linda, it was about celebrating life and finding a connection built on mutual respect, understanding, and joy. When he handed the final rose to Carol, the camera captured the raw emotion. A man who had faced heartbreak, learned from it, and allowed himself to love again. "I learned that love is not about holding on too tightly. It's about letting go, appreciating the past, and embracing the future. And Carol, you are my future." Mel's story became more than a reality show. It became an inspiration. Heartbreak had tested him, but it didn't define him. Through introspection, courage, and openness, he found love again. "I don't regret my past," he said. "It shaped me. But now I'm choosing to live fully, love fully, and embrace every moment. Life is too short to hold back." His journey reminded viewers that love is not limited by age or circumstance. Heartbreak can break you, yes, but it can also prepare you for the love you deserve. Months after the show, Mel and Carol were inseparable. They traveled, laughed, and built a life that honored both their pasts while embracing the present. Mel occasionally reflected on Linda, not with sorrow, but with gratitude for the love they shared and the lessons it taught him. His journey on The Golden Bachelor became a testament to the human heart, resilient, courageous, and capable of love again. Mel Owens, once heartbroken and uncertain, now stood as a man transformed. A man who had faced the deepest pain, looked it in the eye, and dared to love again. "Love is never wasted," he said. "Even when it breaks you, even when it leaves you empty, it teaches you who you are and what you're capable of. And sometimes the heartbreak is just the beginning of something even more beautiful."